Hey everybody, welcome back to Mining Modern. And this week, due to popular demand, we're revisiting a deck, sort of. So a few weeks ago I did Mono Black Devotion, and a lot of people really liked the deck. It's pretty fun. I mean, after all, you get to play Phyrexian Obliterator, which is probably one of the more fun things you can do in Modern, right? And a lot of the comments suggested that we add green in specifically for Eldritch Evolution. So I want to kind of talk this through, and I figured we'd give it a shot this week and see. A lot of people ask, hey, I want to see you, sort of evolve the deck, see where you can end up with it. And this is sort of the first salvo at that. I may have some more thoughts on it, moving forward. It may post an updated list in a few weeks, but for now, this is sort of where we're at with it. And it looks small. The changes look small, but they actually change how it plays a fair amount. So before, the deck was mono black with just a touch of red. And what the mono black means is we have these discard spells early to control their hands. We have the collective brutalities. We had Relentless Deads, it's a recursive threat. Liliana's, Drolf's Messenger, triple black recursive threat. Phyrexian Obliterator just absolutely shuts down any sort of damage-based strategy. Grey Merchant up at the top to really pay off all that devotion, create a huge life swing. And that was sort of the deck, just sort of this mono black control deck that could sometimes make a whole bunch of mana with Nykthos. So now what we want to do is, rather than have this mono black deck that was very good at what it was good against, namely other creature decks, we add a little more flexibility by adding green. And what that really means here is, I'm not counting the sideboard, which we'll get to, but Abrupt Decay in the main deck is just has a lot more going for it than something like Go to the Throat or even more Dismembers did, because you can do more with it, obviously. A lot of the times it'll be the same, but the times where you hit, a Phyrexian Unlife or a Planeswalker or something like that, it feels very different. And the other one, and this we may end up at 3 copies, but we're starting now for 2, Eldritch Evolution. And this really changes the way you build the deck. So what it does is you can cost 3 mana. You can sack a creature as an additional cost of playing it. Search your deck for a creature with converted mana cost X or less, where X is 2, plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. So what that means is we've added Bloodghast into our deck because they play so well with it. Really, they play well with the deck in general. Before we had, additional Gatekeepers of Malakir and sort of some other filler stuff. But now that we have the catch-all of Abrupt Decay, we can trim a few of those spots. But Bloodghast, you can sacrifice Eldritch Evolution on turn 3, have a turn 3 Phyrexian Obliterator, which is pretty good since this card is just insane. You imagine you're playing against some sort of deck that wants to attack you, right? And pretty common thing in Modern, and you're just like, bam, here's this 5/5 that, by the way, if I block with it, you're screwed. And we can do that on turn 3 at really no cost to ourselves since Bloodghast comes back. We also keeping the 1-of Hanger Bag. Now you may cut this. I don't know what I would cut to play I don't think you want to cut it if you're playing 3 Eldritch Evolution, so that's not what would come out. But anyways, it's another creature that can be a 2-drop, but it sacrifices value to the Eldritch Evolution. The other card that does is Drolf's Messenger, which curves into a Grey Merchant. Now it's worth noting, by the way, that the converted mana cost of your hang back on the field is 0, so you're getting a Relentless Dead probably, or a Bloodghast. It's not great, but it can make flying blockers in a pinch while turning your evolution into a card. So it is just worth noting that it serves as a way to get a bunch of Thopters. But you can also turn Drolf's Messenger into a Grey Merchant, which creates a huge life swing because this will come back, okay, and it'll make them lose 2. You'll then have a minimum of 5 devotion, so you will gain 5 and they will lose 5. Meaning just the act of sacrificing Drolf's Messenger to Eldritch Evolution on turn 4 is a 7-point, where really I guess it's a 12-point life swing, but it's 7 points of damage to them. That's very good. Of course, now Bloodghast also gets pitched for value to our Lilianas in here. So the deck really is very strong right now. Okay, I don't know why we got that. So I'm a big fan of this deck right now, and I think it's worth seeing that, while like I said, the green looks small, but it actually changes how the deck plays a significant amount. It changes how we build. Now, looking at the sideboard, it also means we have more options. Instead of just having arenas for the grindy matchups, we get to play Knee Witness, which is better in a lot of cases. We get Maelstrom Pulse, so we need the flexibility. We Creeping Corrosion, so we actually have a dedicated Affinity and Lantern Hate card. And we get to play Thragtusk, which is another great card to Eldritch Evolution into. Can provide a bigger life swing depending on sort of with a board state than maybe a Grey Merchant could. Outside of that, It's a pretty stock black card. Surgical for the graveyard deck. Dredge is obviously huge right now. Duress and the Collective Brutality when you need to attack their hand more. Cage for Dredge, companies, collected company decks, etc. Damnation where you need to sweep the board. Kalidas in those creature matchups. Plus, hey, it's lifelink. It's some more lifelink in your deck, and can incidentally serve as graveyard hate against their creatures. And then Whip of Erebos in those grindy matchups as well. Give your creatures lifelink and bring them back. You can buy back some pretty nasty creatures in this deck. So that's where we're at right now. This was Mono Black Devotion. We're now toying with the green splash, sort of making it green black devotion, and it's possible, as we evolve the deck, not to make the fun, but that more evolutions could be right. Maybe you cut, another gatekeeper, or the dismember, something that's maybe a little extraneous, maybe the hangerback. I'm not sure, and you play another copy of this card, and then you have your 8th cards to sack to it for value at least. Of course, you sometimes sacrifice Relentless Set as well. So that's the deck. Let's give it a shot.